In the military, you learn skills you hope you will never ever have to use.
They're going to break you down, right? And then they're going to build you up, right? And that actually prepared me quite a bit.
My brother is a documentary filmmaker, and whenever he goes back for national service, he brings his documentary skills and he creates free videos for the army.
Absolutely.
Hello, I'm Sharda Harrison and welcome to SG Now. In the studio with me today, we have City Joe Carson.
Hello, Sharda.
Hello. The last time we had a chat, we were talking about bicycles, weren't we?
Yes.
We also have a wonderful guest in the studio today. We have Bervyn. Hello, Bervyn.
Nice to meet you.
I'm very interested to find out, NS from both of your perspectives. But before that, we're going to watch a short video about NS. Have a look.
The moment I stepped in June 1982 into a camp, I was quite nervous. Once it's installed for me, I heard about stories about it's going to be tough training. So whether can I cope or not, that was my first impression.
Not all national athletes.
No, not at all.
That's a very good question.
I think that they can definitely apply to be exempt.
They should.
Yes, they should.
Yes.
Well, I'll say that during my 2.5 years of my NS, is where I was posted to uni. Right, that's I call it best life in the army because I'm a clerk, so I'm handling reservist unit. So I do my work. Then by 4 o'clock, my major will call me. Hey, Mama, come play soccer.
While they are serving national service, they should also be giving the flexibility of taking time off.
I think they could serve both in a way where they have catered time to train and also serve in the national service.
You all never say the best moment of NS is booking out.
That's the best.
No, aside from that, I think the months leading up to ORD, wow, that was the best. Because you don't have any other thing to do already. So literally, it became to the point, right, where even PT is optional. Like the officers ask you, you want to go PT or not?
Nope. I think what we learned today is that even though the experiences you go through during NS may differ, right, there is always the same underlying feeling of you meet friends with a bunch of people you may have never met, right? You become a different person from when you started, and their experiences you will never forget.
Yes.
And I think that's an amazing note to leave it on. This has been City Joe Darvik of Singapore One. Goodbye.
Okay, so talking about that video, right? Let's go straight into it, Bervyn, yeah? Well, can you talk to us about your NS career?
Well, I joined at the end of 1982, conscripted like everyone else at that age. Went in there, it was what it was, didn't enjoy it, I will add, at the start.
Didn't enjoy it?
I didn't, not at the very start. But it didn't make sense to me at that time. It was a rite of passage, something one had to do, and so I went in with that mindset. So like anyone else, I think it was tough to begin with, but then again, it's military service. It's not supposed to be anything else but tough.
Yeah.
It was only a lot later, I think, when I actually had the opportunity to appreciate it a little bit more, that I thought, no, if I could just change the way I think about this, it will continue to be tough, but there's a lot that I can glean from this. So that was basically it, I think.
I did my national service for 2 years only, when everyone else had to do 2.5.
And did you enjoy, did you go in there like how Bervyn went in there? Didn't really enjoy it in the beginning?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Oh!
I had a lot of fun, yeah. So I think what really helped me was one of my friends actually told me, he said, just be aware. When you get in there, they're going to break you down, right? And then they're going to build you up, right? And that actually prepared me quite a bit, So you know, when it gets really tough, and you wonder, is that the breakdown yet? You know, and just waiting for the worst. But the worst never came for me. I was just like so prepared, right? So it was really fun. Yeah, I enjoyed the whole process.
You know, they say NS is fundamental to their national security. So, Bervyn, would you be able to expand on this, or do you have anything more to add to this statement?
Well, I think that narrative is still relevant, correct, and necessary. I do think that, you know, we're a small country. Whatever happened to us in you know, 1945, etc., those are still real stories. Those are still important for us to keep in mind. I do think that there is a lot more now at stake than just military service. I do think that national service now provides an opportunity for the nation to actually rally itself around the challenges that we face. So, I mean, that was the big shift in my mind. If I saw it as pure military, then yes, it was going to be dirt, it was going to be mosquitoes, it was going to be all the stuff that you get out in the field. But if I thought it the other way, then no, I'm learning about how systems work, how people relate, how processes are put in place, and how those translate to the way we relate to one another. And so those are the things that shifted for me.
I think like a lot of people, when I went to the army, it's like, oh no, oh dear, what's this going to be like? And I think what really helped was that during the toughest times, you know, we are being actually taught that you have to rely on your buddy. And I'm not referring to the rifle. We actually have a buddy, right? I take care of you, you take care of me, and we make sure that we keep each other alive. You know, in this case, we make sure that we get the communication correct between the two of us. You know, if I get the message and you don't, then I remind you. Actually, I've never really communicated so intimately, if you want, in my life, you know, until I went to the army, because you really behave as if your life depends on your buddy. You know, and I think that really taught me quite a lot. You know, I didn't expect that, you know, like I'm just gonna go there and learn how to fight and shoot the rifle, but relationships, I think that's a real big bonus for me.
So you've been, you know, you extended voluntarily your national service by 3 to 4 decades. Am I right to say?
I haven't counted, but I served till I was 55 in a role, in a combat role, and
you only need to serve 10 years, actually.
Yes, I think that was the cycle. So
that's a lot of years, right?
There were others who served longer, I will say.
Wow,
There were
okay.
others,
So humble. So anyway, what are some of the changes then that you've observed in how Singaporeans see or view NS?
Well, I think it needs to be embedded in the way society has changed in Singapore. I do think that life was a lot simpler previously, and so the focus was, you know, sure, you're working, you've got your job, and then you go in for your national service, and it's largely defense. Fast forward, we live in a world now where it's a lot more complex. Individuals have got more specific roles. With the rise of small and medium enterprises, we've got small families. You know, all those changes have an impact on the individual going in for national service. It becomes a lot harder for an NS man now to go in than I think it was for me at that time. Because I do think there are pressures at the office where the boss might say, well, you know what, I really don't have very many people doing this. And if you go, we're stuck. And so that guy's in a bind. Right? So I think those challenges are there. I do think what has happened is the military has decided to think around how it can accommodate this in the way they changed, you know, policies around allowing camera phones on camp and stuff like that. That I think is where we have evolved. I do think that has really helped. It doesn't take the pressure off. The valve is still pretty tight there in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we are moving in the right direction.
Oh, good to know. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Carson, have you ever had trouble taking time out from, to go for a reservist?
Oh no, I actually look forward to it.
You look forward to it?
So you just prepare the office and say, I'm going for reservist. I don't know how long they want me for, but my longest was like 2 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. So no issues with scheduling or anything like that?
I just delegate. So life was simple. Yeah. And just for me, it was just about sharing the work in the office.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most recent important changes you think has happened to NS in recent years?
I think the most important, the most fundamental, is actually the mindset shift. I do remember a time where it was really quite zero-sum. It was either this or that. You come in for in-camp training, you can forget about your work and you just stay focused. So it's either or. I think the big shift now is that we don't need to have the either or, you can have the both and. Don't focus on what you're losing out there because you're here doing that because that's the finite resources perspective of things, which is not wrong, but the moment we focus on that, we then miss out on the benefits, what you can actually learn in one situation that you can apply in another.
So it's all about being adaptable then?
Being adaptable, being able to allow individuals to take their experiences in one, civilian, and apply it in the military, and vice versa. Take the experiences there and bring it over.
Actually, you're absolutely. My brother is a documentary filmmaker, and whenever he goes back for national service, he brings his documentary skills and he creates free videos for the army.
Absolutely. Yes.
So absolutely, I think would you have been able to do that 30 years ago?
I think we weren't ready at that time to do it. I think at that time we were focusing on building soldiering skills, and that was the focus. But I think more and more we are starting to see that we are not a regular force. We're an NS force. So we need to harness the strength of an NS man, which is his civilian life, and bring that into play here.
Yeah.
Years ago, there was a shift in the military where they wanted our NS boys to go in to focus primarily on soldiering skills. And so one of the arguments at that time was, well, why then let him go in there and spend time doing area cleaning? Right? Cleaning the area.
Is that what happened?
And so what happened along the way was then they let the role of area cleaning. Sure, you clean your own bunks and all that, but the common areas, they got contracted vendors to come in to do. Right?
Yeah.
All in the thinking that, yes, you spend your time here, you should spend it learning all the soldiering skills. And that's not soldiering skills, let's move that out.
Yeah.
But when we did that, we moved out a very important part of what that brought. The ability and the willingness of individuals to actually subject themselves to be cleaning areas that are not dirtied by themselves but by others. Now that's a certain thing you don't get anywhere else. And in a way, I lamented that. On hindsight, I didn't at that time, and I will confess at the time was But on hindsight, I said, no, I think we lost that. I think when we think of the policies, we need to think about the value of some of these practices and how they have a certain. They bring a certain learning that we should not let go.
Wow. I did not expect that answer. That's very deep, but wow, I didn't expect that. But Carson, what are your thoughts on area cleaning?
Area cleaning was, I guess, not very pleasant at first, because you can clean up. I was in Pulau Tokong. You can clean up all you want, and then the wind will blow and the sand will come again. And the sergeant says you didn't clean. He says, yes, I did. But but you learn to take it all in. Everything needs to be clean. And that's what I learned. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over 2 long years.
Wow.
And I think that was something I was very thankful about. It's something that I can talk about to my kids and say, this is what I used to do, and you don't suffer for nothing. And there are such precious lessons that you bring out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make your own bed.
Exactly. I was just
Yeah.
going to say that. Get up and make your own bed.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
You know?
Right?
Yeah.
And I think when the military decided to go on its transformational journey, that was for me that turning point.
When was that?
Oh, I could get the dates all wrong here, but it may be early 2000s or late 1990s, thereabouts, I think. But yeah, it started to shift. It started looking inwards around how they were a learning organization. They looked at their leadership, they looked at their processes, they looked at the way camps were designed and what was allowed here and there. They turned every stone just to look, and I thought that was a really important part of its transformation. That, I think, is going to be the value of national service to our nation.
So do you think that Singaporeans' attitudes towards NS in this day and age are headed towards the right direction? Carson, what do you think about this?
You know, when I went up that 3-tonner, you know, to go to NS, I remember it was at CMPB, and you have parents and mothers behind all crying, you know. You know what I mean? It's as if we're being sent to prison or something like that, you know. Won't see you for...
I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
So that was the impression then. And of course nowadays, I think parents are like more prepared and say, hey, you know, like me, you know, you're going to come back a better guy, you know. It's a different... at least that's what I feel. You know, they probably don't cry so much anymore. I think maybe by the time my son goes to NS, it will be different.
Yeah. Thank you, Carson.
Yeah.
What about you, Bervyn? Do you think that our Singaporeans are headed in the right direction towards our attitude towards NS?
I actually feel slightly different.
Okay.
I think it's harder for the population these days to fully appreciate military service. On the one hand, and I know MINDEF has actually done a study on this. On the one hand, if you ask a person on the street and you ask everybody, you know, do you believe that we should have a military to defend? High percentage. In the 90s, almost, you know, 96 or 97%, I can't remember now, would say, yes, we do. So in that regard, that attitude is there. I think when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of what exactly one should be doing, there will always be the voices around, oh, you know, but, you know, I'm contributing in the economic sense, we're contributing in the psychological sense, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So why don't we extend the whole narrative around national service beyond the military? Now, there is some value in that, which goes back to, you know, whether women should be serving national service, because they don't need to serve national service in a military role. They could serve it in another role. But I think that's a different argument altogether. So I do think it's a little bit harder now because we have evolved the way we have. We are, as a nation, we're doing well, but we're doing well because we've been working hard in so many different areas all at once. To then tell somebody you still need to get in there for another 2 weeks to do this is just squeezing that little bit more out of a person. So that's the challenging part, which is why I think the move to try and accommodate, to see how we can support and not make a person feel that he or she is, you know, having to drop everything and do this, because that will only mean that we're stuck. We got to see how we can adapt and allow a person to do both. I used to say as a commander to my soldiers as well, and, you know, they will come up and say, can I defer my national service this time round? And I would say, well, what if I could help you do your work out there and still clock your national service? Would that be a better solution than to defer, which only means you get to do that out there, but you still got to make up at another time? Right? If I could do that for you, would you do it? And most of the time they will say, can you do that? Well, we'll try. And we do it. You know, we just arrange that way. And I think most people appreciate that. But it's not easy.
But there also seems to be a kind of cynicism when it comes to having to do your national service.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, there is. This is the challenge. In the military, you learn skills you hope you will never ever have to use.
Wow.
Because it means you're actually going to war.
Yeah.
Right? So you train hard, and when you train so hard and each time you don't actually get to see whether that's being tested, we tend to lose sight of its importance because you feel like you're just doing drills, and they are. You train the drills, but you hope you will never ever have to use that training.
Yeah. But do you think then that as a Singaporeans are a little bit unaware about our strategic vulnerability, where we are placed currently with also this war going on in Ukraine, and but beyond that, just being this small island in Southeast Asia?
Yeah. Well, the strategic vulnerabilities extend beyond just the military. It's about how we relate to one another. It's about issues like our racial balance. Cyber security is a major thing now. So the strategic vulnerabilities are wide. So the military response to it is really just to go back to the fact that we need to defend ourselves against any potential aggressor, and that potential aggressor could be just about anyone, and that potential aggressor could be an extremist in our midst, because it's no longer just necessarily a force coming in the way we talk about Russia and Ukraine, but then how do we defend ourselves militarily? We need to first have that will to fight, which is at the heart of it. It's one of the core values of the SAF, it's like the will to fight. In other words, against all odds, against all potential threats, when the button is pressed, I'm not going anywhere.
So just wrapping up our conversation now, we'll start with you, Carson. What is one thing that you'd like for people to understand about NS?
At least for me, working in sports, right? I think from the time you go in and the time you come out, the body shape actually should change. Yeah, you should be fitter, right? You should know actually how to exercise, how to eat, and how to take care of yourself, those are the skills that you can take up. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't practice that after they get out.
And what about you, Bervyn?
Look at it as an opportunity to grow yourself, as an opportunity to grow with others, as an opportunity to learn about how this could actually lead to a better version of yourself at work, at home, at any relationship.
Yeah.
I think if we take that lens, the suffering or the challenges of the military, they're going to be there. Nobody's going to go easy with you on that one because your enemy is going to treat you worse.
Yeah.
So train hard.
Yeah.
You're just not going to enjoy that one, but there's something there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your points of view. The biggest thing I'm taking away from today is, with NS and our country, it does take a village to support our country. It does take that, but it has to start with one person. For that village to happen, for that community, for that country, for the fire in our hearts to happen, it has to start with one person, and that's me. And as a female, I've always felt that it was my privilege to stay out of this conversation. But after having this lovely chat with Bervyn and Carson, I'm realizing how much and how needed I need to be involved in this conversation, because it is my country. So that's really opened up my mind. Now, if you have anything you'd like to say as man or woman or athlete, I'm just kidding. If you have anything you'd like to say, or if you enjoyed this conversation, please share your thoughts in the comment section. And if you like the video, please don't be shy to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And also, don't forget, we have our NFTs that are still for sale. You can go and get them. It's been an absolutely mind-opening conversation, especially for me that's never actually given this much thought. But I'm so happy that I got to give this thought today, and in many ways it has shifted my perspective on a lot of things. So thank you so much for being in the studio,
Thank
both
you.
of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
You never receive.